In this video, we're going to talk about the cost of the max funded tax advantage insurance contracts, or what I like to call the Smith Fund. Smith Fund. A lot of people are asking, how expensive is it? How can they benefit from this? And how is it even structured? These structures are much more expensive than your regular insurance contracts, but they'll be very effective later. You just got to give it a few years. Now, let's explain this simple example. What are insurance contracts? Now, if you watch previous videos on YouTube or even marketing videos, you'll see that these contracts have to stay in compliance with the tax codes. But first and foremost, keep in mind, this is life insurance. First and foremost, life insurance. You may have seen this video on the Invest Smith's YouTube channel. You may see people or even myself speak of this as an investment. But first and foremost, this is life insurance. So you take that and run with it. Now, this also means that you have to have some type of desire or need of insurance. But in this video, we're going to talk about how you can get tax-free growth and also tax-free access to your money in the insurance contract. Now, like I said before, most people would say that life insurance is not an investment, and technically we can't call it that. But it is an instrument that you put cash value in that it can also grow tax-free. You know what's crazy about it? There are a lot of things that are called investments that are completely taxable. But when it comes to this contract or this instrument or this tool, it's not. It's life insurance. And I'm okay with that. So our goal here is to comply with the tax codes to keep it tax-free. Let's talk about a few key terms here. For starters, 72E is the Internal Revenue Code stating that your money in these insurance contracts or your Smith Fund can grow tax-free. Under 7702, it says that your money can be accessed tax-free. You still don't call this an investment? By all means, have at it. And finally, under Section 101A, your money can be transferred and also blossom tax-free upon the death of the insured. For us to understand this a little bit more, let's compare this to something like an apartment building. To stay in compliance with the tax codes and keep it tax-free, we also have to follow the code of TAMRA. This act came out in 1988 and is known as the Technical and Miscellaneous Revenue Act. So let's put this in perspective. Let's say we got $500,000 that we want to put into this insurance contract or our Smith Fund. To be in compliance with the tax codes and TAMRA, we have to put in $100,000 a year within a 5-year span. Now, they've done this to actually lessen the burden of people just upping their money out of a bank and switching to these type of contracts. So for us to be in compliant with these tax-free benefits of 72E, 7702, and 101A, we have to be in compliance for at least 5 years. So let's take this back to the apartment building example. Let's say each year is a floor of the apartment building, meaning there are 5 floors in this building. Then let's say one day we go out and we buy the whole building. We go out and buy the whole 5-story building, right? Then the government comes and says, hold up. If you want this whole 5-story building to be in compliance with tax-free benefits, you are only allowed to fill up 1 floor each year. 1 floor per year. Now, this sounds crazy, dumb, and stupid, all you can think of, but it's the only way to fall in compliance to the tax-free codes. Let's say a year goes by and we got our first floor tenants in. We're 1/5 the way there. We're getting started. We're getting it filled up. We got the first floor in. Let's go. Do you think you're getting your money's worth after filling up only 1 floor and you paid for the whole entire building? No way. Good. Now that we both understand this, when thinking in terms of this insurance contract or this Smith Fund, this is a long-term game. This is not a get-rich gimmick, okay? If you want to get rich gimmick, this is not the course for you. But yes, the short-term games is not in this feature. This feature will take about 5 years before you start seeing some movement. Now, don't get me wrong. There's no problem with renting out all 5 floors at one time. But the government will say there are no tax advantages, unfortunately. So you tell me how you would choose. But nothing less, the goal is the same. Being compliant, follow the rules, and fill it up to the second floor the next year. Now, we're in the second year. We're getting a little bit more funding, a little bit more leverage to play with in the apartment building or in the rental building. And this is just like the insurance contract. And then the next year comes. Level 3 gets filled up, and we're getting even more funding and even more leverage. Then before we know it, we have 4 out of 5 floors of the apartment building or rental property rented out. More leverage, more funding. Then finally, we have all 5 floors maxed out, rented, and we have full funding, full leverage, and no taxes. Just like the insurance contract. So let's say we open up a bag and we want to put $500,000 in. We can put $500,000 in over a 5-year period, but we can't put any more. And if we put less, it's okay. But we want to be able to max fund this thing. Now, also, you can put more, but we'll get into that a little later. So like I said before, the reason I use this contract apartment building analogy is because even though we can't fill it up in 1 year for the tax advantages, once we get to that 5th year, we get tax advantages and we have compounding interest coming in. So at that point, we have what's called or what's known as a cash cow, tax-free. Now, in later videos, we will discuss the differences between the max funded tax advantage insurance contracts. And we'll also have you sit down with one of our financial professionals and we'll discuss the fees and expenses that come with it as well. Okay. By the way, keep in caution that it does expire when you're 120 years old and still living. Also, keep in mind that when you're first getting started, you'll see that the fees are a little higher because you don't have much leverage in your apartment building or in your rental property. But when it becomes a cash cow, you'll see that the fees are very small. And when you start to get your interest rates, they'll blow all your fees out the water. There basically will be no fees for you. Now, these numbers are based on when you start these investments and however long you hold on to them, whether it's 20 years or 30 years. Keep in mind that your cash value life insurance or your Smith fund will cost 2 to 5 times more than your average traditional life insurance policy. Okay? And these fees are going towards the death benefit of your cash value life insurance policy to avoid or instead of going towards taxes. So this is just one simple way of how the Smith Fund works and how contracting works as well. We'll see you in the next video.